What's up, spell slingers? Chris, Legendary Mana, and it's time to announce our newest show. What is it called?
Ugin's Eye.
Ugin's Eye.
Yes.
This is John,
Hi.
my new co-host of this show, and eventually he's going to just be the star and take over the show. I mean, like, let's face it, and you'll know why in a few minutes. But you named the show,
Yes.
John, and before you get into yourself and introduce yourself to our viewers, let's have a little history on why it's called Ugin's Eye.
So, Chris invited me in to come talk to you all about drafting, and we were trying to come up with a name for the show. And I remembered that I love dragons. Well, I didn't remember. I mean, I know that I love dragons. But, so it was between Nicol Bolas or Ugin, and...
Yeah, Nicol Bolas wouldn't really roll off the tongue very well.
Right, Nicol Bolas's eye, or Nicol Bolas's
Horns? His horns?
destruction.
Bolas horns?
I mean, none of that says do better at drafting, you know. But I thought about the fact that this is legendary mana, so I started looking at legendary cards, and I mean, Aya Ugin is a legendary mana card.
And you have an eye for drafting.
I do have an eye for drafting.
I know, corny as... I'll have to beep that one out, by the way, so you guys will hear a beep. We know what I just said. But anyways, let's talk about, or actually, I'm going to have you talk about kind of yourself and sort of introduce yourself to the viewers and sort of give them, you know, sort of your history. How long you played Magic, you know, why are you sort of a, you know, authority, or I wouldn't say authority, but a good resource of understanding limited play and drafting specifically, drafting, sealed, what have you. What basically this show is about.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So, hello viewers. Again, my name's John, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks, Chris, for having me on the show. So, a little bit about me and Magic. I've been playing Magic forever since its onset in '93. I was in 5th, 6th grade around that time. Yes, lots of years and lots of time. I've been playing since elementary school, since my friends brought some cards to the school and we played in the lunchroom, and I haven't looked back since. There have been a number of gaps in between, just like I feel like everyone does. When they get a little bit too busy, they kind of put it on the shelf, let it collect dust. But then that random friend comes around and they're like, "Ooh, look what I found. Have you ever heard of these Magic cards?" And you're like, "Yeah, I have. Let's play." So Chris definitely brought me back into the game recently within the last 3 years or so. I would say since the originals in the car, I've been a little bit more serious and more thoughtful about my game. But prior to that, the last time I played Magic was Kamigawa.
God, you know what really stinks is I missed a really good core era of Magic, and that's Kamigawa, which I have several cards that I like out of that set. I missed Innistrad, I missed Scars of Mirrodin, I missed Lara, which I have recently realized is a pretty awesome set in itself.
Lara is awesome. You missed Scars? Do you know Scars was the first set I bought a case for?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I learned that, and this is for you. This is a tip for you guys out there. Sometimes it's best to go ahead and buy the sets of 4 if you're looking for all the cards, because essentially when you buy a case, you're going to get about half the set of cards.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and this is probably a topic for another show and another episode, but I think when it comes to, you know, boxes are and we'll talk about it this way, boxes are meant to be open as limited drafting, sealed, you know, games and stuff like that. That's what they're really meant for, right?
Right.
And they're not really meant to open to get value and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, Tulare Community College, Brian over there, he talks about it all the time. Wedge at the Manosaurus, he talks about it all the time. And it's true. Like, boxes are not meant to be just opened by end users to just enjoy unless you're gonna draft with it. Like,
Right.
for instance, drafting with your friends or doing like the event that you invited me to go open up a box and build decks. I mean, that is what it's meant for. So, anyways, I didn't want to like kind of pry on that too much, but it is a kind of a subject that a lot of people try to stress. This is not a game where you just go buy a box and just open it all and put it in your collection.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to play the lottery with Magic cards. I mean, a regular lottery doesn't work, so what would make you think the Magic card lottery works?
Right.
But real quickly, just to sort of get back to why I'm here on the show. So I have a lot of experience in limited sealed drafting. I'm an analytical mind, so I'm really big about identifying, what's important, what's not important. and pulling that together and making good decks. I tend to be the person at the LGS that people come to and say, hey, take a look at my deck. What do you think about this? Or, I love to have those debates and opinions about, what's a good card, what's a bad card, what works here, what doesn't. I don't know.
We're gonna have some debates on this show.
Oh, absolutely, and that's where that Ugin's eye comes from. I see it.
This guy.
I see it. It's like the third eye that comes up, and I see the Magic card, and it goes, yes, this goes here.
And you know what I see when we go to events together and do like draft or pre-release or whatever, and you're like, let me look at your deck, and I'm like, he's gonna tell me this sucks.
I try to ask as many questions as possible. I try because no one likes someone coming in and being like, hey, you should have did this better, so I try to ask questions, be like, why are you using this, or what was your reasoning behind X, Y, and Z.
True. But, I mean, in certain cases, like, especially in my case, right? Like, I'm still trying to learn to play a limited format. Like, I played Constructed forever, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, to construct a deck for Constructed and versus Limited, specifically Draft and Sealed are both two different strategies in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so even playing, so Draft, Sealed, and Constructed are just wide variety of strategies and ideals and how you construct them and put them together. So, I mean, and I always do appreciate your feedback, so don't get me wrong, but it's like every time you're like, let me see your deck, and I'm like, ooh.
It's what I love to do, but you have to give me this. Like, I never just go, do this. I always explain. I always have a reasoning behind, everything that's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's very constructive, and I mean, I give pushback, but that's just, that's just the way it is. Across YouTube and different content creators and so on and so forth, they talk about bread, they talk about dirt. Mm-hmm. We've had conversations about this too, and you have a different opinion on how they sort of wrap into the whole strategy of working in, versus limited, meaning in limited, versus sealed or draft, right?
Right.
So for the viewers out there that are like going to a couple of GPs, they have GP Providence right now coming up very soon, which is Team Limited. GP Phoenix is just straight up limited, so they do sealed and draft, right? Mm-hmm. I actually think Team Limited does sealed and draft too. And then there's a bunch of sealed, PPTQs. Say that 10 times fast.
10 times
coming
fast?
Up soon.
That.
This guy. See, do you see why I brought him on? Because he's charming, he's handsome, and he's funny, right? Not like
and single.
Not
if there's any magic ladies out there
for the 1%ers in our channel that watch our show. Although now that you're on there, maybe we'll get like 5%.
Maybe I'm the draw,
ladies.
Maybe I'm the bait.
Anyways, so bread and dirt. So for people who don't know, bread is bonds removal. is
Evasion.
Evasion. Yeah,
Yes.
evasion. How do
Evasion.
I aggro
Yep.
and
Duds.
cards. Which there's a few that I'm gonna talk about that I say that are duds in Ixalan that he's like, yeah.
Thumbs up. Opening an eye. But yeah, so with Bread and Dirt, I think just the way Wizards the way they're designing their sets now, it's a little different. Particularly when you're looking at draft versus sealed. With sealed, I think it still works because when you have those pile of cards in front of you and you're trying to get some awareness of which colors, what direction you should go in as far as a more aggro deck or mid-range or a control deck, you do want to lean more towards bombs, which are the more powerful cards, or towards your removal, which are cards that can respond to your opponent's cards. And then after that, more evasion, your creatures who can get in for damage to actually win you the game, and so forth and so on. But when it comes down to draft, I feel like the more modern sets are like the master sets. When you're drafting the master sets, they're about...
Which I like doing, by the way.
Yeah, I love doing those.
Yes.
It's about the archetypes, and it's about synergy.
So here, to put it in context, right? Let's talk about what was the latest the earliest draft format, like set that you drafted.
The earliest would be Zendikar.
Okay.
Original Zendikar. Yeah.
So, how would you compare Zendikar with, say, Kaladesh, either Revolt or Ixalan that's being released here? Like, how would you look at those? Are they different? How are they very symmetrical, or like what is kind of the?
I think they're very different. So I've noticed over time, well, specifically to answer your question about Zendikar versus like now, like Hour of Devastation. Like Hour of Devastation was widely seen as one of the best sort of like contemporary draft sets, just because you could choose any sets of colors. You could choose aggro, mid-range, control. Like the cards were just so flexible.
But now, so Hour of Devastation, right? Like also, brought in a couple of packs of Amonkhet. So you had diversity with mana fixing and stuff like that.
Right. Versus like Zendikar, which was seen as like one of the fastest, contemporary draft sets. Yeah, like Zendikar, like original Zendikar was fast. Like if you didn't have 1 and 2 drops, you're done.
Well, Zendikar had fetch lands, right? So I forgot about that. Fetch lands and Zendikar.
Yeah. So I think during that time, Wizards was filling out, like trying to understand, how certain cards work in the format. If we put this amount of cards in the set, what happens?
Right.
And versus if we put these other cards, what happens? Like, for example, in Ixalan, like they definitely want combat to happen.
I agree. And we'll get into this, but yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. So you see, like, there's limited removal, there's bigger creatures, and there's the raid ability, which is combat based. Yeah. It's like you attack, you get benefits. Yeah. So like you can
attack with benefits.
It's like the Magic dating app, like attack with benefits.
So now we both did pre-release, right? Yes. And you've done numerous events besides. So I've only done one pre-release, and I've done 2 PPTQs online.
Yeah. And I was sealed all weekend, and I've been drafting all week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
How many events do you say you did this past week?
Wow. So I've done 5 sealed in person over the weekend, and then I would say maybe 11 drafts and 1 sealed online.
Wow. And that's why I have this guy on, right?
I'm trying to get ready for you guys. I'm trying to understand this format as much as you are.
So, based on all of that, let's talk a minute for what we've learned so far about Ixalan, which, by the way, I have to say is so far my favorite set to play sealed. Like, I played sealed Eldritch Moon, Shadows of Innistrad, Battle for Zendikar, Kaladesh, so I've played sealed probably, say, from Shadows on.
Right.
And so far, this has been my favorite.
Nice.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, I think there's a lot of, well, first off, I'm an aggro player. I like playing aggro. So there's a lot of great creatures in the set. And I think there's more creatures than spells, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe that's just me sort of, thinking about that. But
a little bit of aggro bias.
Yeah. But I think I'm more excited about the creatures in this set than past sets, right? I think the commons have been slightly more balanced in previous sets, as well as uncommons to fill certain gaps, right? Creature gaps or even spell gaps, right?
It does kind of, now that you say that, it does kind of feel like there's less no text commons.
Yeah.
It feels like every common does something.
Yeah.
In addition, like the creatures.
Right. And I think a lot of it has to do with the new mechanics or returning mechanics like Raid, or new ones like Enrage.
Right.
But I think, there's, even though I don't think the creature base and spell base is all well balanced, I think the overall landscape of it all is well balanced. So anyways, based on all of that, what we've seen so far, and, I have my thoughts and how I really love this set to play, but what have you seen so far as design and kind of like what you found great about the set, because you've obviously played way more than I have.
Well, like we mentioned before, or like I mentioned before, I really feel like Wizards has found a stride with how they're designing the sets, and the modern sets have a lot more flexibility in them across the colors and the archetypes. So take, for instance, there's the two, what's the name of that guy? It's a 1 and 1 white uncommon vampire that's a 1/1, and he attacks for 3/1, and you can pay 4 life to make him indestructible.
Oh yeah.
Like that guy's, he's a vampire, and everyone's all talking about these tribes and everything, but that guy's great in a red-white aggro deck that usually features more dinosaurs than anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just having that type of flexibility and having cards be able to do more than one thing and not just be pigeonholed into one area, I think that's what makes a good design. That's what makes a good draft.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. But so, like, what are some of the certain things like that you've seen so far that are working in this set? Like,
that are working?
Yeah. Like, what are the sort of, so like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Something that I've seen recently playing in the PPTQ, which was somebody playing, I forget the name of the enchantment, but it gives you a 1/1 vampire when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah. The
and
rare
it flips. Yeah. Like,
it's like something's landing, I think. I'm gonna learn the names of these cards. I go off pictures. Like, I'm the type of guy that doesn't remember your name, but I remember your face.
But here's the thing, right? In sealed, on that same note, you learn the pictures. You don't learn the names of the cards, because you identify cards by their artwork faster than you do by their names.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, like, what are some things you've learned so far? Like,
so
what are some of the things that you've seen that are like, oh, that works?
Yeah. So, I think the set is leaning more towards pirates and dinosaurs. Like, those are the cards. I even looked at the numbers, and dinosaurs have more uncommon and common creatures than any of the other tribes. Second to that are the pirates, and then merfolk and vampires are last, I believe. Vampires are, at least for me, has been pretty difficult to draft. I did do a black-white vampire deck, and I had 3 of the uncommon guys, the 3/2 black that come into play and do 1 damage to your opponent based off how many vampires you have. And I still just had a really hard time, like, just generating that type of board presence, like keeping the vampires on the board so that when you play that card, you actually get the effect for it. You know, it did finish out a couple of games for me because it's that type of effect where your opponent doesn't know you have it in your hand, and you've been aggressive enough where by the time you get to turn 5 or 6, they're down to maybe like 5 life, 4 life, or whatever. And then if you have enough vampires there, you drop them and you can finish them off. But far too often, so many of the vampire cards are still good. Like the common 1/1 white 2/2 lifelinker. Everybody's going to take that card. You know, so you're going to have a hard time getting him, you know, to be in your deck. And you need him. Like the lifelink is crucial. Lifelink is crucial in the vampire deck. Like it's crucial. Just because their creatures are just small with minimum abilities. Like they don't have much utility. They don't have like the Merfolk. The Merfolk deck is pretty legitimate because of a lot of the enter the battlefield triggers. And a lot of additional abilities. Like +1/+. This is a rare, but +1/+1 counters make the rest of. There's a rare. There's 2/3, 3 for blue, that makes all your creatures with +1/+1 counters unblockable. That's a great end gamer for Merfolks.
And that's traditional Merfolk, right? Like that's the one thing you have to say, they've kept true to the root of Merfolk in that aspect that like they didn't stray and create some crazy ability for Merfolk.
Yeah, but I mean that's some of the things I've seen. You know, like I said, vampires I think is the hardest tribe to sort of draft and play into, just because the pieces are shared across other archetypes. I think dinosaurs is really strong, just because where's the beef? You know, like a lot of the dinosaurs have both great enter the battlefield abilities and triggers, and they're just big enough for where they are on the curve.
You know? Exactly. And actually, so, you know, I think of pirates as the new slivers. Right? It's not as powerful as slivers, but there's combining effects there, right? So when you have Captain Lannery, like for instance, there's three colors for pirates, and technically if you play Vraska, that's 4 colors, right? So, you know, with Captain Lannery, you can create treasures. Like there's a ton of treasure abilities with the pirates, which then allow you to be more expansive if you need to be.
Yeah. I mean, you actually need it. The treasures, I like the treasures. The treasures are a different take on mana fixing. You know, that's another thing that I noticed in Sealed is that I didn't struggle with the split, the infamous split, you know, where you have 3 colors and you have like a 6/6/5. Like people advise against that all the time. Like, you know, if you're going to splash a card, you know, if you're going to splash a 3rd color, you want to be strong in one color and then secondary in another. And then you just have a light splash of the 3rd color. But the way this set is set up, like it's reasonable to have a 6/6/5 split, particularly with pirates, just because so many of the pirates across all 3 of the colors generate treasures.
And to even, you know, add on to that, right? Like if you're playing dinosaurs or even playing a combination of 2 tribes, right? Like you could conceivably play 18 lands in this format, and still be good, because you know the way that I see this sort of set going right now is it extends beyond the 2/4 drops, or sorry, 2/3 drops. It's the 4/5 drops, 6 drops, even 7 for that matter. Maybe not so much in draft, but in Sealed, you know, you see much more of that higher end, which can then bring you sort of, well, you know, playing 18 lands to sort of, you know, just get your stuff going and get your engine going, so that way you can play your bomb at 5 and 6 at the time that they're supposed to come out, as opposed to later if you're playing 17 lands.
I think that depends on what your deck looks like.
Well, sure.
Because with Sealed, like, you want to be greedy. You want to tap with as many benefits as possible. So like that means jamming in as many magic cards as possible. So you want to find those venues to extract the lands, and replace them with effects, you know, with opt or cards that produce treasures or any of the mana dorks, particularly for the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You have a red and a white guy that reduces the cost of your dinosaurs by 1.
So yeah, and we could probably talk about this for hours. So let's probably pause on this and let's use this for a different episode, because I think one of the things that we should do, and I think we were talking about one point, is let's dedicate an episode after Ixalan's release to do sort of a draft together and sort of kind of talk about, what is this or what is that, and
definitely.
or sorry, not draft. I said draft. I meant sealed. Because we can't do a 2-person draft. I mean, like, how do you do a 2-person draft?
We just do it at the same time. Or we just comment.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, come in here, we draft.
Coming soon.
You hear us.
Coming soon. We'll be doing something of that sort. That's what this show is going to be about. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about some of the cards that we've played with so far that we think are, I wouldn't say the best cards, because it's really hard to say what are the best cards to play right now. But some of the cards that we've played that we feel are the best so far that we've seen in play, right? Or in our analysis that we've seen, like, oh, that could be a good card. But all of my cards that I'm naming, I've played with, and I really like them. So we're going to start out talking about the good cards that we like, and then we're going to talk about a few cards that we don't like, and you disagree with me on some of them.
So that's the dud sound. Just in case you didn't know, it's a dud sound.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start out with your 3. We're going to go, actually, so let me set this up too. We're going to cover 3 commons, 3 uncommons, and 3 rares that we like.
Okay.
So you go ahead and you start with your.
All right. So the premise is these are the type of cards that when you open your packs in sealed or when you're drafting, like you want these cards. They probably around the 4 through 6 pick when you're drafting, they'll pull you towards that color and make you feel like the color's open. Or when you're in sealed, you'd be like, nice. I'd love to have 2 copies of these cards. And these are just commons, and we all know that commons and uncommons are the cards that are the backbone of your decks.
Yes.
So first on my list is Jade Guardian, and that's a green creature merfolk. I don't know why that just comes out bad. It's a 2/2 for 3 and a green, and it has hexproof. And when it comes into play, you can put a +1/+1 counter on target merfolk.
And that's bonkers. I had 2 of these on my online PPTQ, and it saved my.
So you just edited yourself. So the great thing about this card is it works really well with merfolk. There's a travel based that there's an uncommon that's 2 and a green. It's a 1/3. When it comes into play, it can put a +1/+1 counter on target merfolk and itself.
Yeah. And so with the bonus of that, right? Putting it on itself means you don't need to be in Merfolk to play it.
Right. So it's a 2/4. And then if you have a Jade Guardian, you put an additional counter on a Jade Guardian. And you have plenty of +1/+1 counter triggers that are in green that help Merfolk. And on top of that, Jade Guardian, if you're not doing Merfolk tribal, you can play it in any green deck.
So check this out, right? Think of Pirate's Cutlass on a Jade Guardian times 2.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking about a potentially, what, a 6/4?
Yeah.
Hexproofer?
Hexproof.
Ooh.
And then that's the thing. That's what makes this card so great. It has hexproof in a format that has barely any removal and has absolutely no type of sacrifice removal. So you have to kill this creature in combat.
Right.
Like you have to. You throw, Open with Winds? The 1 in a blue enchantment that gives +2/+2 flying. You have a 5/5 hexproof flyer.
It's 1/1. +1/+1 flying.
No, +2/+2.
Are you sure?
Yep. Roll the dice. Roll the dice, Chris.
I just played against it today. It was a +1/+1, I thought.
+2/+2. Because think about
flying?
plus. Oh no, you're talking about the I know you're talking about the enchantment with the dragons on it.
Oh,
that gives all flying creatures
that's
+1/+1.
about, yeah.
I'm talking about the open with winds. It's a aura.
Right,
it gives that creature +2/+2.
Dumb brain. Dumb brain.
It's fine. But just think about it. Like, you could, like, this guy wears enchantments, he wears equipment, like, he adds counters, and all without worrying about your opponent killing it.
And he's a common.
Right? So, second to that, we have a dinosaur. Territorial Hammer Skull. It's 2 and a white. It's a 2/3 common. And when it attacks, target creature opponent controls.
Best common in the set. Best creature common in the set, I think.
Best creature common?
I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I would have to go through my Rolodex in order to figure out what's possibly stronger than that. I don't know. The Jade Guardian seems better than the 2/3.
Yeah, but so Hammer Skull is 3 mana versus, so it comes down sooner, and kind of just hampers your player's ability to block. Yeah. So even though you get hexproof and it can still be blocked, the dino, right? He prevents you from blocking, so damage still gets through.
Yeah, but this is the thing.
See? Yeah. This is what I have to deal with.
No. But think about it. The dinosaur requires additional board presence, right? So, like, your attacking trigger, what happens if your opponent has 2 blockers, right?
True, but it's
what
common,
happens if
so
you
could
don't
still have 2?
Yeah, no, I'm just. Well, we're looking at by itself in a vacuum. Like the Jade Guardian as a card, when you play it, boom. It's a 3/3.
It's a 3/3.
3/3 hexproof.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need any assistance from anything else. The 2/3, wow, he's a strong card. He needs a little bit of support, just a little bit.
So I'll put it in this context.
Okay.
I think the best common for draft, and it's good for sealed. And this is why I say that is it's sort of that evasion factor.
Mm-hmm. It does.
So I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get behind you on that one. Nah, I understand where you're coming from, though. So, and then third card I would love to see in my pack is Prosperous Pirates. So.
Oh yeah, I like this one.
So we were talking about the treasure earlier.
Yeah.
Like, this card is phenomenal for 5 mana. It's 4 in blue. It's a pirate. It's a 3/4, and when prosperous. What? Prosperous. No more. Anyway, those pirates with the P pirates. the P pirates.
The P pirates.
When they come into play, create 2 treasure tokens, right? And these are lotus petals. Basically, they sacrifice for any color mana. So the great thing about this is that it's a 3/4, so it's a solid blocker in this format. Like, 4 toughness is a lot.
Unless you're playing against somebody who's playing either red or dinosaurs.
Well, it's at 5 mana. Like, most of
I'm just
I'm just saying, like, the larger dinosaurs are at 6 and 7 mana. But the other really good thing about this is that it comes on the board. You may tap out your 5 mana. It comes on the board, but it gives you 2 more additional mana,
right?
Which is mana for a combat trick.
Trick, opt, whatever.
Right. Anything
that you have in your hand.
Exactly. Yeah. So it allows you, like, what I noticed in this format is that when you tap out, it's almost like you hold your breath sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you tap out, you play something, you hold your breath. You're like, is this gonna make it? Am I gonna make it to the next turn? Am I gonna be solid? Because your opponent's gonna untap and they have their mana on top. But with this guy, you drop them, you have additional mana, and now you can respond.
When we talk about one of my cards that you disagree with, keep that in mind.
So my uncommons aren't as flavorful as my commons. I think everyone sort of has recognized these, but there's one that's a little bit of a surprise. Not so much of a surprise, but perform better than I thought it would. So first, Air Elemental. We've seen this guy since Alpha. Yeah. It's a different art, but everyone knows 4/4 flying. It's like Sarah Angel without vigilance. Like, it's a beast. You know, there's not a whole bunch of flyers that can fight with it. You have that 3/4 common flyer that's a dinosaur in white, 4/4 white, and it's not big enough. You know, most of the other flyers are just not big enough. So I do believe it's the biggest, as far as power and toughness, it's the biggest flyer in the set.
But do you worry about it in this format having two blue in the mana cost? And for as far as in draft, maybe not in sealed so much, but as in draft, like, can you commit to playing something that costs that much with two color blue?
I think it's worth it. I think it's risk versus reward.
Okay.
You know, if for a 4/4 flyer that's double blue, I'm willing to put in effort to make sure I can play it.
That's
you
fair.
know,
That's fair.
Because it's a big reward. You
Sure.
know, it's a huge evasive creature
Gotcha.
that can also tangle with most ground creatures in the set.
Right. Yeah. Sure enough.
You know,
Sure
I mean, it kills the green reach creature. The
Yep, the
whiptail guy.
Yeah.
He's a 3/4 2 for 2 green reach.
Yep.
Like, it kills that. You know, that guy can't block it.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
and that guy's a linchpin in the green decks. Like, green worries about flying.
Yeah.
You know, and
he
needs
costs
it.
more. No, he costs the same.
No, it's 4. The green guy's 4. Yeah. Second to that is charging Monstrosaur.
Oh god,
This
this
is
thing.
they literally said Jurassic Park. You guys remember the scene where Ian Malcolm's in the back? It's like, what's that sound? They're driving a Jeep and the T-Rex is in the side view mirror, and it's like objects appear closer than they seem. So it's exactly what this is right here.
And you're hastily trying to get away from this thing, so it's got trample and haste.
Very fast.
5/5.
So
It's the-
true life story. This made me feel good. I was in a draft. I had the you're gonna cover this card later, so you can give us the actual name. But I had the rare 2 for blue and the black pirate that takes the hostage.
Oh yeah, hostage taker.
So
Yeah.
I dropped the hostage taker, took one of my opponent's creatures, just a small dorky creature that was just in the way, cast it, attacked. My opponent, after that turn, dropped a charging Monstrosaur, attacked. I played the blue flicker.
Oh.
1 and a blue. Flicker my hostage taker, took the dinosaur, cast the dinosaur, and attacked back with it. So,
Oh man.
winning.
That's okay. So I know hijack is not really a great card. I mean, it's good.
What, hostage taker?
No, hijack.
Hijack.
It's a 2 red and 1.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Take
a good
cards.
card.
So
It's a sideboard card. It's more of a
I
sideboard card, but it's a good card.
I was actually on the online PPTQ. I stole somebody's the big nasty one. That's a 7/6 trample vigilance.
Just soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Just soft.
The mythic.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And so what I did was I had the black cards, one black and any color, destroy target creature and draw 2 cards, or sacrifice a creature and draw 2 cards.
You sacrificed? I would have kept that.
No.
Oh, you stole it from the hijack.
I stole it
yeah,
from
okay.
hijack.
Okay, yeah.
And you have to give it back
Yeah,
at the
then
end
you
of turn.
sacrifice. Yeah,
but then
yeah.
I sacrificed it to get 2 cards. So I
Nice.
basically smacked him for 7
and then
and
drew
get
2 cards. Yeah, that's solid.
That
is
is sweet.
That is
Okay,
solid.
sorry,
Alright.
we got off on a tangent. Go ahead.
So the very last one, another dinosaur, Steadfast Armosaur. So this is the guy that performed a lot better. He was an eye opener, is what he was. He performed a lot better than what I thought. Like, he just holds it down. It's 3 and a white for a 2/3 dinosaur with vigilance, and it has an ability for 1 and a white and tap it. It does damage to target creature that blocks it or is blocked by it, based off its toughness.
So I haven't been able to play this card. So just like this is kind of actually me hearing it for the first time. That sounds pretty nasty.
It's very, very nasty. So you think about, so originally just playing the card without any type of pump effects or additional counters, it does 3 damage to a creature that blocks it. This means that it can do a total of 5 damage to any creature that blocks it, or can do 2 and 3 damage across 2 creatures that block it.
Right.
So it just makes combat terrible for your opponents. Terrible. Like, particularly when you're attacking. and then the fact that it's vigilance. So you usually attack for free.
Sure.
Like you attack and your opponent's like, I'm not blocking that.
Yeah.
So and then it's still there for defense. So like it's a phenomenal card.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, now I'm gonna be looking for that card for sure.
All right, so to the rares. Let's rares are always rares. You don't see them a lot in draft just because they're rares. But let's get through these a little quicker.
Henceforth, the 4-letter word, rare.
Yeah, very rare. Mythic rare. Some of those mythic rares are terrible. So, captivating crew. This is a house. This is probably like on my top 3 lists of top 3 rares.
Not this house.
In Ixalan. I mean, it's just so unfair. Like, this is exactly one of those cards where you hold your breath. Yeah. Like, you play it, and if your opponent can't kill it once it's down, it's pretty much done. Yeah. Like, it's great even if you're behind. Like, as long as you can survive one more turn when you drop it, you're good.
Well, and here's the thing, right? It's a non-tapping ability, right? So you can activate it when it comes out.
Yep.
You can activate it and then attack with it. So I mean, it's incredible because like I feel like this could have been a mythic rare in a way because the power level of this card I feel like is just incredible.
Yeah, and it's a 4/3 to boot. A 4/3 for 4.
Yeah.
Like,
so nobody wants to really block this with something that's going to be able to swing at you. Like, so most of the, like we were talking about flyers, with 3 with, I think there's or the dinosaur that's a 4/2 dinosaur. Like they're not gonna block with this, like, because they want to keep their 4/2 dinosaur.
Yeah.
In a way. So,
and I don't know. It just makes everything very difficult. It makes combat very difficult because I actually lost to this guy at the end of a game. Just because I was trying to figure out how to get through some damage, and I just had to drop some more creatures in order to be able to swing enough to get through the damage. And he had like another effect, and then after that, top decked a land into 8 land, and was able to steal 2 of my creatures.
Oof.
So it's just like it's terrible. It's disgusting.
Now your next card.
I
like this card.
Oh,
I really like this card.
Nice. So second rare that I love and I'm looking to open is Entrancing Melody. So it's X2 blue for a sorcery, and it's basically build your own control magic. So it says gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. So in a format full of giant dinosaurs, this is the card you want.
And treasures. So you combine this with a treasure.
Yes.
Like a treasure strategy. I mean,
treasure helps you ramp and accelerate it out for larger costing creatures. Like, I'm willing to hold on to this and wait until I get the mana to play it. You know, because it's just so groundbreaking. The thing is, it's unlike control magic, it's not an enchantment anymore. So you don't have to worry about them bouncing their creature once you take control of it.
Right.
Or responding. Like, if this was an enchantment in this set, there's that 1 blue hexproof instant spell that gives your creature hexproof and +0/+3. You know, you don't have to worry. Well, you still have to worry about that with this because it's a sorcery. So never mind. But all in all, still, this is a great card. You take your opponent's best creature. Yeah. That's what it says. Take your opponent's best creature.
Speaking of best creatures, probably my favorite rare creature, primarily dino, so to speak, in the set is your next card.
Regisaur Alpha. Some people are calling him Reggie.
I love this card.
So it's a dinosaur creature. It's 3 for a green and a red, and it's a 4/4. That's already pretty good. But on top of that, other dinosaurs get haste, and he comes with a 3/3 buddy
for 5. For 5 mana.
5 mana.
For 5 mana. I mean, what? Like, that's
a rare.
It's Redonkosaurus.
Redonkosaurus. Redonkosaurus Rex. So yeah, Reggie's the dude, man. Like, Reggie's the man. Like, you're getting 7 power.
Yeah.
7 power, and the 3/3 has haste. So And then on top of that,
the rest of your dinos get haste.
Yep. And the thing is, he's a 5-drop, so most of your other dinosaurs are going to be 6. Higher mana cost than him. So you just, like, it flows so well.
The ones that you want to play, it plays into the curve very well when it comes to, if you if you draft into dinosaurs or be able to have a good sealed pool of dinosaurs with this in it, you have to play dinosaurs because it's even if you have to combine with, say, pirates. Like, I think pirates and dinosaurs, actually, I joked about it earlier, but I think they actually work pretty well together. Meaning, low-end curve creatures that help you get to ramp into dinosaurs. And I'll explain that when I talk about my cards. Because there's a couple of them that I didn't see coming until I started playing, and I was like, that makes sense. So.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely splash, Reggie.
My first common, and I have to say, this is a really good one, and I actually played this in pre-release, and it won me the game twice. Sun Crown Hunters. It's 4 of any color and 2 red. It's a 5/4 with Enrage, so basically, whenever it's been dealt damage, it does 3 damage to your target opponent. So they block it, does 3 damage to them. If you have that other dinosaur, I forget the name of it now, when it comes into play, does 1 damage to every other creature.
It's like,
does 3 damage to them.
Razzletooth or something like
whatever
that.
it is.
Yeah, 5/5/3 in green.
It's a crazy combo. Like, if you think about it, like it just does damage 1 time, and you hit your opponent in the face for 3. Yeah. So that's pretty good. I think it's a really good common. It's a really good big body. Even though it's 6, it's not. I don't see it as a finisher, but I see it as a means to get to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's a top end. I do think it's. I think it's a finisher. For me, it's. I want 1.
I think. And that's all I had was 1.
Like, sometimes 1, maybe a 23rd card. Like, surprisingly, as many. I don't know.
Did you get it?
I don't. Nah, it's not on my hands. As surprising as it is, like, as many dinosaurs and large creatures that there are in the set, and I don't know if this is just a sort of intro bias in MTGO when things first start off, because typically with any format, doesn't matter if it's constructed or limited, the first decks that you see are hyper aggro.
Sure, yeah.
That's what everyone defaults to. Like, aggro is a little easier to understand, to draft, to construct as a deck, and to bring in and play with,
So let me explain to you my experience with it, right? So pre-release is where I played it with a Pirates deck, Black-Red Pirates. And I use this as my top-end card. First off, nobody's going to be thinking about it in a Pirates deck, first and foremost. Second of all, Pirates are already, super aggro anyways. When you get low to the ground, you get a lot of them out there anyways. So it buys you time to get this sucker out there. And in the meantime, from my experience, my pirates are wearing you down, and then this thing comes in and could finish you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a free lightning bolt. I mean, think about it that way. It's a free lightning bolt.
Yeah, I mean, the card is, it was made to be reach,
Yeah.
And that's talked about a lot for like aggro decks, and for those who have not heard the term reach before. It's basically a card or an effect that allows you to do some type of direct damage to your opponent so that you can finish them off. So it can be a card, right? It could be like a lightning bolt, like Chris mentioned, which is an instant spell that can do 3 damage directly to your opponent. Or it can be like Sun Crown Hunters, where if the dinosaur takes damage, it does 3 damage to your opponent. So you don't have to worry about the combat aspect, because here's a scenario. What if your opponent had 6 creatures and you had 5 creatures, and one of those creatures is Sun Crown Hunters, right? And your opponent's at 3. Normally, if Sun Crown didn't have Enrage, you had no attacks where you could get through and get that last 3 damage in, But so the board stall. But in this case, if you do attack and they block it, their enrage ability triggers and they take 3 damage and they die.
Here's a rules question for you.
What the?
So, damage happens at the same time, right? But let's just say you block this with 4 1/1 creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count as 4
enraged triggers?
4 enraged triggers?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. It only counts as 1.
Mm.
1 enraged trigger. So the source of damage. So essentially, with combat, damage is, unless there's a first strike creature involved, then that would be,
or double strike.
Or double strike. You're right. That would be considered separate damage. Mm-hmm. But the way the rules are now, combat damage happens simultaneously. So that would be considered one source of damage.
There you go.
Yep.
And that's the reason why I asked the question, because somebody had that question when I was playing, and so I thought it would be a good idea to get that sort of out there.
Yeah. It's a new set, new mechanism. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people had that question.
All right, so it's taken us a long time to get to number 2, but I really love Sun Crown Hunters. The next one, it's anybody's gonna pick it because it is, well, removal, and that's Unfriendly Fire. It's 4 of any color, 1 red, does 4 damage to target creature or player. I consider this a finisher. I mean, this absolutely, with 5 mana, at the top end of the curve, you're looking to finish the game.
Yeah.
So you're either going to get rid of a top end creature, or you're going to do 4 damage to the face.
Yeah. It's a great reach. It's great removal. Just plenty of things. It's versatile.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people are hesitant about more expensive cards, but you have to look at every card within the context of when it will be played. And when you play it, what's the sort of average scenario that you could be facing? You know?
Yeah, I mean, let's take that 5/4 dinosaur for that matter, right? I'd be happy to take, if you're basically exchanging a better life total by destroying it. Right? So basically you're killing it, but then if you're in a situation that late in the game to be able to swing in, you'll gladly take that 3 for some other damage to get in. I guess is where I'm going at. Because you're gonna get, if they're gonna block, you're gonna get hit through it anyways. And if you can destroy that creature while hitting that 3, as opposed to not destroying that creature and still getting through for damage, I think that's a win.
Well, I think the thing is with that, it's like when you want like your cards that are more expensive, that are probably like 4 and higher, to have large impacts. Like, so with this, it's a 5/4, and when you drop it, it's a 5/4, but it requires damage in order for it to have its additional ability. And so if you paid 6 mana for a creature, that's a 5/4 that could potentially be killed by other creatures, where they spent, I don't know, what if it's like two 2/2s that cost 4 mana? Like, you're behind, essentially. You did 3 damage for 6 mana, and they spent 4 mana to kill your 5/4, Like, because you're not gonna attack it into 2 2/2s.
No, and that's why I'm saying, like, Unfriendly Fire.
Unfriendly Fire
will clear the way. I'll gladly exchange that 3 life to get rid of that creature to be able to swing in with my 2/2s.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think Unfriendly Fire is a stronger card than the Sun Crown Hunters.
Yeah. Next, which I actually opened 3 of these in my sealed deck, and that's Pirate's Cutlass. Pirate's Cutlass is interesting to me. So it's 3 colorless. It costs 2 to equip it, and your creature gets +2/+1, right? But here's the kicker that I really enjoyed with this, because while I was playing a Pirates deck in pre-release, is when you play it, it automatically attaches to a pirate that a pirate creature you control.
Yeah.
So it's free equip, which, that's pretty good. A 3 mana free equip.
Yeah.
Now, on its own, without being free equipped, I don't think it's that great. I think 5 mana to equip to get +2/+1 with no other extra added ability, I think is kind of meh. But when you're in a pirate sort of build and you have the ability to play this, I think it's a no-brainer. You have to play it.
Yeah, I think it's fine in a pirate deck. Like I think you want at least like 8 pirates, and overall, 8 is by the numbers as far as like probability. Like 8 is really sort of kind of like the cutoff mark when you're dealing with 40 cards and you're looking for a certain effect in order for it to be worth it.
Agreed.
So like with Pirate Cutlass, for that bonus you need a certain amount of pirates.
Sure.
And so
Absolutely.
8 pirates is sort of the cutoff.
Yeah.
You know, you need minimum 8, and more than that is gravely. And I think for the pirate deck, it's good because a lot of the pirates are low power.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so this just gives you that extra oomph, you know, that you need in order to break through.
Exactly. Speaking of the extra need and the extra oomph to get through, I'm going to talk about my next cards, which are the uncommons, right? And my first one is Deadeye Quartermaster, and some people may disagree with me on this, and that's fine. I says so. But I actually had the ability to play this in my pre-release, and this card, so this is what happened, right? I had 3 Pirate Cutlasses that I opened, which is pretty good, and then I also got the vehicle, which gives your pirates +1/+1, right? Or sorry, +1/+0.
Yeah, the rare.
The rare, yeah.
I got you.
So that gave me 4 targets for this card, and I actually opened up 2 of these in.
You
Did
didn't
you
play
finally-
all 3 of those cutlasses.
I only played 2.
Oh.
I played 2.
Did you have...
I played 2
I
cutlasses
see,
and
cool.
the fell, the pirate ship.
That's a lot.
Those are the 3.
I think 1 cutlass is fine. But
I had a pretty nasty, beefy captain.
you and your captain. We're going to get to that captain.
He was captaining it up. And so anyways, let's get to this card. It's 3 of any color plus blue. When he enters the battlefield, you can search your library for any artifact or equipment.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Artifact and vehicle.
Any equipment or vehicle.
Oh, equipment and vehicle.
Equipment or vehicle.
Oh, specifically equipment and vehicle.
Yeah. And you can then reveal it and put it in your hand.
That's something I didn't even think about. Like you can't look for artifacts. Like just regular artifacts.
Correct. Yeah. But
are there regular artifacts? Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's the one that gives you mana and drains your opponent.
I mean, you can't get like Bombat Courier or anything like that. So that's it. So basically, it's meaning not to target artifact creatures, only specifically equipment and vehicles, right? Which I think in this situation for pirates, that's fine because really all you want is equipment or vehicles that go with your pirates, right?
Right.
And so I
don't think there's that many non-equipment vehicle artifacts in Ixalan. I can only think of one off the top of my head. The 3 mana
non-equipment.
Yeah, non-equipment, non-vehicle artifacts.
I
can only think of the uncommon.
Gosh,
I believe it's an uncommon for 3 mana that gives you 1 colorless mana, and when it comes into play, it drains your opponent for 1 and gives you 1 left.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I don't think there's any.
Yeah, there's not many non-equipments. But anyways, is this pretty? This yeah. Yeah. The point is this is pretty good, right? Because then this allows you to, especially, and I see this not necessarily in constructed. I think this card is dumb in constructed.
Yeah, well, we're talking about limited right now.
But we're talking about limited and sealed. Is if you play this and you only have 1 Pirate's Cutlass or you only have 1 of the vehicles, you can easily tutor it up. So it's 4 for a tutor, and you get a 2/2 body.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine in a deck that supports it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like you
need
absolutely,
the card support.
Yeah, you absolutely want a, and I don't think all the vehicles are good. You know,
no, not all of them are good.
I think only the 4/6 and the one that gives pirates +1/+0 are good vehicles. The 4/3 is fine.
Yeah,
the crew 1/4/3 is fine. So there's like 3 vehicles, and then there's the cutlass.
But you're talking again. We talk about the limited format. I mean, you can easily play this in any blue deck without having pirates, and so this is why I think of it being very versatile.
Yeah.
In the aspect of being able to tutor for any of those, any of those things that you would need, equipment or vehicles or such in your deck.
Yeah. I mean, I would shy away from it in draft. I would shy away from it as an early pick, unless I felt like speculating.
I think it's 4 through 6.
Hey, I'm gonna build around it. But if I don't, just because there's a limited number of, so there's only one like common artifact, which is the Cutlass, and then everything else is an uncommon or rare.
Right.
So like I would look to I feel like if I want this card, I'll get it.
It'll be tabled. I mean, it'll definitely be tabled. It's not something that you're gonna pick. I don't even think. I think about it. Probably not a 1 through 6 at all. I would think it's more of one of those as you develop your deck and you find yourself you have artifacts that are I'm gonna play that for sure. Then I think this is one of those cards that you're gonna get because it's gonna table anyways.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely a good filler with requirements.
Yeah. Next. My next uncommon is Dark Nourishment, and I really like this card. Again, it's removal, but also it's life gain, and it's at the tail end. And the reason why I chose this is because this kind of saved me a game. I mean, this saved me a turn and actually got me to win in a PBTQ. So
it tap with benefits.
Tap with benefits, yeah. Tap with benefits. Tap with benefits.
Tap.
So, not much really to say about that, but that is one of my picks in the uncommon slot that I like.
Yeah, they're solid. I mean, all remove is solid. This format is starving for removal, so whatever you see, you pretty much gobble up. I mean, you don't have to get hyper with it. So, because for like example, the 2 and a white destroy sorcery that destroys creature with power 4 or greater. Like those will come later. Like you don't have to first pick that. And honestly, there's a lot of creatures in the format that are at 3 power.
Sure.
And it would sit in your hand. But this is great. I mean, it's great in the vampire decks because they need life gain, to function properly. Just because there's so many tiny creatures. And it's great in any deck. I mean, it's splashable. It's a 5-drop. Yeah. It only costs 1 black. You can put it in any deck, and 3 damage is significant. It kills, I would probably say maybe like 75% of the creatures in the format.
Plus gains 3 life, so it's not just 3. So, and here's the other thing too, right? Like it's an uncommon. Mm-hmm. So out of 24 packs, it is a good chance you could see 2 of them. So you will find it at least once.
2? I don't know. Would it be a removal?
I guess it depends.
I don't expect to be past this card.
No? You
Never.
Don't see a table?
No, absolutely not. Like I do not expect to be past this card. This is one of the cards where if you don't, maybe as a second pick, possibly a third pick.
What would you see going first? This or the other one? Unfriendly Fire.
The black card.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it's 4 damage, Unfriendly Fire is 4 damage. Yeah. Dark Nourishment is 3. You see Dark Nourishment being picked before.
Yeah, because it gains life. Like it's a swing, Okay. Like 4 damage is not that much more significant. Like most of the time when you play that card, you're killing something that has less than 4 toughness. It's just not that many 4 toughness creatures. And then on top of that, like I'm fine, and I think most people would be fine with trading a creature plus Dark Nourishment for a creature that has 4 toughness.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like you block with it, they block it.
Yeah,
it does damage. Then you add that damage, but you get 3 more life.
Yeah, okay.
I see. The life is essential. Once you lose your life, you're dead in Magic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's true.
So it's true. It's an important resource.
Yeah. All right. So my third and final uncommon, and I think you disagree with me this one.
Not this one.
Not this one. Okay.
It's the rares, man. This is actually a very solid card. This would have been on my list if it wasn't on your list.
Lightning Rig Crew, and I think first off, it's 2 of any color with 1 red. It's a 0/5, but the ability that it has is you tap and do 1 damage to target creature. The way that I see it, this is a way better Thermal Alchemist, right? Because when you play a pirate spell, this untaps as well, right? And a lot of pirates are Lord of the Ground. So Thermal Alchemist was only instant or sorceries, right? And a lot of the instant sorceries that I saw during the time that Alchemist was out, or is out, no, was out. Shit, what? I don't remember. But anyways,
it was out.
The were higher mana costs, right? So when you're playing a low to the ground deck, you can boom, 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 and like in one turn you can smack them for 3.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
I mean, it's a perfect card for the pirate deck, because you want to be attacking a lot, and so because you're attacking, you're gonna find yourself racing. You know, and when you race, and essentially with aggro decks too, like you think about like mono red aggro decks, you know, they don't care about their life. They just care about your life. As long as I can get your life down before you get my life down, then we're good.
Exactly.
It doesn't play off as smoothly all the time when you're dealing with limited like that. So to have a blocker that's a 0/5 that can also prevent them from swinging back at you, and you just have your 2/3 flyer pirate or your 1/2 flyer pirate, and you're just chipping in and keeping them from swinging back at you with this 0/5 blocking, it's gravy. And then every time you play a card, you're essentially doing 2 damage to them. So for every additional pirate you play, you're doing 2 damage.
Right. And here's the thing too, right? Like, this is not a wall, right? So it can still swing if it has, say, Pirate Cutlass on it, which makes it a 2/6. It's pretty good 2/6. It does 1 damage, and you still come back and swing for another 2. And then if you have the vehicle that gives it +1/+0, that you're talking now with 3/6.
Or Admiral Brassenbrucker.
Yeah.
Whatever the name of that card is.
The ability to pump this thing up and to swing and ping is,
Just swing and ping.
Swing and ping.
Tapping with benefits, this one.
Tapping with benefits. So anyways, those are my 3 uncommons. I mean, I think so far we've seen a lot of good cards, but I
notice all your cards are pirate colors. You must be playing a lot of pirates.
I have played a ton of pirates. I've played pre-release, and my PBTQs have been pirate based, and that's what I've opened. So, and that's why and some dinosaur. So yeah. So this one, he's gonna love this card. He's this has been bottling up in him for like the last couple hours because he wants to so put me down for this card. And that's Captain Lannery Storm. Arr!
I don't even.
Okay.
Shouldn't even be a captain. It should be like first mate, Lannery Storm.
All right. So before you even lay into me on this one, I'm going to explain this card, right? 2 of any color and a red. It's a 2/2, and it has haste. Okay, so it attacks when it comes out on the battlefield. Now, when it attacks, you get a treasure token. Not when it successfully hits an opponent, just when it attacks. So it doesn't even have to get blocked yet, right? Which is good. Because here's the thing, right? Think about it this way. There is a blue 2/1 flying pirate.
Yes. Ooh. A blue 2/1 fly?
Or 1/1. 1/1 fly.
Yes.
1/1
yes,
pirate.
Yeah.
Sorry. And it's you tap 1 blue in order to counter a spell
that targets a creature or yourself. Yeah.
Okay. So think of this combination for a second. Okay. Captain Lannery Storm comes out, swing with him. You're all tapped out, but somebody's going to come in and target him to either get rid of him or get rid of one of your creatures, right? You could, again, if you're in this strategy, you can use that treasure token to utilize for blue, right? So you have that, you gain that extra mana if you need it for something like that, or if you need it for opt or whatever. It's very universal. And here's the other thing: when you sacrifice a treasure token, he gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. Okay, so think about it this way too, right? Like there's other instances where you're going to get treasure tokens.
Right.
So you can attack, use your either a removal or anything else with those treasure tokens, as well as pump him up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I've used him in those senses, and he is, or she, sorry, it's a she, is dynamite in that situation. In a pirate deck.
Yeah, I mean,
on its own, in a vacuum, it's not that good.
No, I mean, like you can run it in a white red aggro deck. Like it's fine. Like I just don't think, like honestly, I don't feel like it's a rare. Like I feel like it's at best an uncommon. I guess it would be uncommon just because it has an additional effect. But the thing is, like I expect
4 effects. So
when it comes
in, it's a haste.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a token.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets +1/+1/+0.
Right. But it's a 2/2 for 3. Like I don't expect this card to live. Like I literally expect to play the card, swing, trade for one of their creatures, and get a token.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I'm basically playing 3 mana. I don't know. I guess it's a 3 mana possible removal spell with a token. But the thing is, like, you play it and they have a 2/3 and you don't want to attack and you don't get a token.
He's a hater.
Like I'm not. I'm just saying there's so many scenarios. There's like so many scenarios where it's just like it's not.
Yeah, but in limited, we're talking about there's not much removal. Are you going to spend...
No, I'm not going to spend a removal to kill that thing.
Exactly. So it's going to attack no matter what.
Yeah, I'll just block it with my 2/2. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like...
But it's a creature trade. I mean, it's a win. And when you're a trade for a creature...
But I feel most of the time you're going to trade for a cheaper creature. Like, it's a 2/2. You're going to spend 3 mana for your 2/2. And you're going to attack me. And probably I'm going to trade with a 2/2 for 2. Like, I'm going to trade with a bear.
Well, I think a lot... Well...
You know?
With a bear?
Yeah, bear. A 2/2 for 2.
What,
grizzly bears.
What bear?
Okay. So, here we go. This is why I'm here.
There's bears in Ixalan?
No. This is why I'm here. So, for folks out there who are new to Magic and joining us, bear. It's a token phrase in Magic. It means a 2/2 drop. A bear.
You're talking about like
the grizzly bears. Yeah, it's like the name for.
No, I know, but okay, a
2/2 bear.
Okay, we'll save this for another episode. Okay. I want to break down Captain Lennery Storm.
Okay.
In another episode, and talk about how many creatures can kill Captain Lennery Storm.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's
okay.
Cool.
So we'll do that. So
the one caveat I do say it is a haste creature, so there's a possibility that your opponent has already attacked into you and their creatures are tapped. So when you play it, it has haste, so you can swing into them into an open board, essentially.
But so here's the thing, right? Like if you play Captain Lennery Storm late game and you have my next rare, which is Hostage Taker out, right? Or even the other one who gives other pirates +1/+1. He's now a 3/3 haster, which is pretty good, right? But anyways, Hostage Taker is my next rare.
I love this card.
It's awesome. So it's 2 of any color, 1 blue and black. Whenever it enters, not whenever, when it enters into the battlefield.
It would be the same thing. Whenever.
Let me just speak some English here. Well, anyways, it's kind of like it's a 1 more mana costing of Spellqueller, right? So it's 4 mana for a card that exiles a card on the battlefield until it leaves, right? But instead of it being a flyer, it's a 2/3 pirate. But I think in limited format, this is a very unique ability, and this is something that is, not a lot of, that doesn't have a lot of exile effects except in pirates. There's the 1 black, 1 white that does the same thing. No, 1 black, 1 white. 1 black, 1 of any color that does the same thing. It's a 2/1 flyer.
Yeah, 1 in black.
Yeah.
That's a 1/2 flyer.
1/2 flyer, yes.
It's like boots something.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's like,
but it only does non-land, non-creature spells.
Correct. and that's from your hand instead of the battlefield. So
it's like a duress.
It's similar.
On
It's a duress, yeah.
Yeah, it's a duress on a creature with flying.
But anyways, Hostage Taker, probably one of my favorite rare pirates.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably a top 3 card for me.
If you're a blue or black, you're taking this card. Because you can easily fix into this if you're playing a 1-up of this.
Yeah, I've done terrible things with this card. And that's one of the things that I've noticed about the that's one of the things I noticed about the format too, like the trickiness. Like there's a lot of trickiness in there, and you definitely want to like. I think in the future we can probably do an eye opener on this. The blue instant, the one in the blue flicker effect. Yeah. Like it's a solid card. Like I think people are not giving it due to that card. Yeah.
So here's another thing, and this is obviously not anything to do with this, but I think of Hostage Taker on the same aspect of Spell Queller in Modern, but that's something completely different.
But yeah.
Anyways, my final rare is a dinosaur.
Regular rare.
Not R. Well, I got that wrong.
You got it's a raptor.
Because I went arg, pirate.
You had this Buffy reference.
Yeah.
Arg.
Anyways, so
dinosaurs.
Rip Jaw Raptor.
Yep.
By far my favorite and probably the best mid-range dinosaur out of them all.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this card's like...
It's ridiculous.
It's like Bradgelina of Ixalan.
two of any color, 2 green. In rage ability, when it's dealt damage, you draw a card. It's a 4/5. I mean, there's not many things that are gonna kill this thing in a 1-shot. There's no removal that kills it in a 1-shot.
Yes, there is.
What?
There's the white pacifism that gives you 2 life.
That I meant kill it. So.
Oh, you mean kill it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the white destroy target creature with 4 power, 2 and a white sorcery.
2 and a white sorcery.
Yeah, destroy target creature with 4 or more power.
Yeah. So that's 1.
The exile, the Vraska's exile creature gain 2 life.
Yep.
Kill it. Pounce if you have a big enough creature.
If you have a big enough creature.
Stump and howl if you have a big enough creature. Or if you have a 4/4 creature.
I'm just talking straight up now. I'm not talking about situational.
So it's those 2.
Straight up. That's not much.
Walk the plank. 2 black.
But that's that's not that much.
No. I mean, just not that much removal in the sense.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So there is things that remove it. But what I'm getting at is well, I mean, you're safe of saying you're gonna play this, and it's not gonna be super easy to remove from the board. Like you're either gonna have to block with a couple of creatures, or they're gonna have to be playing black to destroy it.
Oh, black or white.
Black or white, yeah.
I mean, but that's
with 1 or 2 possibilities.
It is harder to kill than most creatures, but I mean.
No creature is unkillable except that
it's still in that range.
That other one that has got hexproof and can't be countered.
Because
screw that card.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, this is the thing. Like the average, how it plays out in limited, you want to hold on. You want to try to hold on to your premium removal spells until you have a premium target. You know, and two and a white costs less than this, so there's a good chance that your opponent can have that card, and they will. And there's not very many other creatures before this that has 4 toughness. So when you play this will probably be the only creature that has 4 toughness on the field. You know, and this is not to say that this card is bad. This card is great. No. I'm just saying the removal is out there for it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's still a good card, but I mean, there's cards out there to kill it. I mean, the pacifism isn't as good because you can still trigger the ability. Right. You know, the rage ability still happens. Yep. Like, if you somehow find a way to like Rowlet, the 1 red that does 1 damage to your creature, you'll still draw a card. So yeah. I mean, it's a strong card. Like, I'm not gonna try to act like it's not a strong card. Like, it's like the poster child of this set right now.
I think for being at 4 mana is where I think is it shines, right? Because it's a 4/5 for 4. So, you know, a lot of the creatures that could block it and destroy it are of the 6, 7 mana, 8 mana range, right? And so that's where I feel like it shines, because it's a really great 4-drop that you can clearly play as a 4-drop and start swinging and hitting people and either A, drawing cards, or B, mowing down the field.
Yeah, it's definitely and it's, I don't know. I'm just thinking. No, because I'm thinking about the scenarios in which I've actually played with it or played against it, and I'm just like kind of mad because when it's been played against me, it's just like there's that stupid dinosaur, and then when I play it, dies immediately.
What is it dying to
like the thing I described. Yeah, okay. Like, seriously?
But you know, yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because plank is a common, right? So, right?
No, plank's not uncommon.
It's uncommon, okay.
Yeah, plank's not uncommon. But like I said, I mean, that's a good limited player, and good Magic players in general. Like, doesn't matter if it's constructed or limited. Like, you hold on to your removal,
right?
Until you need it.
Yeah.
You know, or at least you try to.
Yeah.
You know, you want to use other means of getting rid of creatures before using your removal, and that's one of the reasons you hold on to your removal.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly go into the cards that we don't like, and you disagree with me obviously on a couple of them, I think, too. So yeah, let's go ahead and go with yours.
I can do mine real quick. So the first one was Bishop of Rebirth. So let me do a caveat with this. So first is, these are not necessarily cards that I won't play, and that I'm just like, oh, they're horrible and terrible. These are cards that more so I picked because they underperform. You know, they did less than what I expected, so I just basically kind of expected more out of them. So Bishop of Rebirth, that's the 3 and 2 white. It's a 3/4 rare. It's a vampire, and it has vigilance, and when it attacks, you can return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield of 3 mana cost or less. So it's basically a mini terrible Sun Titan. It's really terrible. Like, it doesn't, when it comes to, I guess I'm just used to Sun Titan. Like, Sun Titan's in my EDH deck, and it's like, hey, I cast this card, I'm going to get something out of it. And I can choose a land, I can choose an enchantment, I can choose a creature, I can choose anything. Yeah. This guy, like, he hits the board, and because he's a 3/4 in a format that has dinosaurs, a lot of the times, and you have to attack with him in order for the trigger to happen. Like, you basically play a 5-drop, you attack with it, they double block and kill it, and then you get a lesser creature back to the battlefield.
Yeah.
I mean,
sounds soft. It's like,
it's underwhelming.
It's a softie.
It is. It's underwhelming. Like, will I always play this card?
That's what she said.
Will I always play this card? Yes, I will still always play this card, but like, don't expect fireworks. like
again, that goes right into that's what she said. Don't expect fireworks. It's a softie, but you know,
don't expect fireworks. My second card is Phantom Fleet Captain. Or was it Phantom? No, Phantom.
Fathom Fleet.
Fathom. My P's are prosperous. Prosperous. My P's, like, you all have to excuse me. My allergies are acting. I know you heard this nasalness this entire time, so it's just messing with my tongue and my throat and just everything.
Yeah, man.
But So this guy again, always play him. He's a really good piece in a pirate deck. It's 1 and a black for a 2/1 creature that has menace, and when it attacks, if you control another pirate, you can pay 2 and get a 2/2 black pirate with menace as well. It just kind of requires a lot of pieces sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think I want to. Well, I mean, I guess a 2/2 pirate adds board presence, and as long as you're sort of in ahead, it's more of a slightly ahead card.
Yeah.
Than it is like brings you back, but it is a 2/2, so you would be playing it in the earlier curve of your game. It's just, I don't know, it's just so fragile.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's again, sticking to the theme, it's kind of underwhelming. I mean,
it's a little underwhelming.
You can play it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not advocating not to play it. Like, you draft this guy and you play him, just you have to put in a little bit more effort to make it give you additional benefits.
Yeah.
And I feel like this format is really about those additional benefits, those tapping with benefits. Like you have to tap with benefits.
You
in this.
really need to tap with benefits.
Like, you absolutely have to. So you have to squeeze all that usefulness out of it. So my last one is Rowdy Crew, and this is a mythic rare. It's 2 and 2 red for a red creature that's 3/3, and it has trample. No, it doesn't have trample. So wait, it has trample. It has trample. And when it enters the battlefield, you randomly discard 2 cards from your hand. And if those 2 cards are the same, Rowdy Crew gets 2+2/+1/+1 counters.
This should not be a mythic.
Well, I mean, mythics are usually... Sometimes mythics are just like these wacky...
It could have been a rare. It really could have been a rare.
I think... Well, that's what red does. Red has this chaos thing going on, where you roll the dice and you might get this awesome effect.
I still disagree. I think it should be a rare.
Yeah.
So but it's not a.
I just say I didn't play with this card previously, but I've had it played against me a number of times, and I've always been happy. Every time my opponent played it against me, I was just like, "Yes, thank you. You lose 2 cards. Bye." Like. I mean, I guess there's situations where you can set it up and, maybe only have 2 lands in your hand, and you play it, then you're absolutely getting a 5/5 trampler for 4.
Right.
But most of the time, no. And you got to think about it. Like, you're not going to sit there and hold it in your hand when you need to keep establishing board presence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So, if you're more of a riskier player and you want to take those crapshoots, then be my guest. But again, I think it's an underwhelming card. I think you have a probably just off instinct and feeling. I feel like there's a higher probability of you just losing 2 cards.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. So you ready?
Are you ready?
This is gonna be a thing, just so you know. This is totally gonna be a thing throughout, and that's great because you guys get to be like, "Oh, look at these 2 guys." All right, so my first one, and I'm just gonna plow through these, and then we can talk about them.
Okay.
All right. Stormfleet Pyromancer. Now, this is one of the ones that he disagrees with me. I do not like this card. I think it's too high of a mana cost to get a 3/2. I think late game, I don't want a 3/2 come down. And yes, if by some chance I have a creature that attacked that turn, it'll do 2 damage to target player, right? But that's saying by some chance. At that point, if I'm like on my heels, I'm not gonna have in the pre-release when I played it my first 2 matches, like I was on my heels a little bit, and I was very disappointed to have this card. I played it. It didn't do diddly squat for me. It dies to most blockers because it's 2 toughness, right? And to be honest, 2 damage late game, even if you have an attacking creature, I don't see that as a finisher. And so that's why this card is on my down list. Not necessarily saying that I won't play it or I won't pick it as a filler, or if I need it late in the draft or what have you, sure, I'll pick it. I mean, it's a body. But I think for something that I feel that at the 5 mana curve, I would rather take other options. The next one is Rummaging Goblin. This thing, first and foremost, it dies to pretty much any spot removal, period. And I mean, it's got very little protection for itself. Additionally, it makes you discard before you draw.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a drawback. I mean, it's completely drawback. You're basically saying you're playing a gamble, right? I'm going to discard a card and draw a card hoping that this is going to be better.
No, it helps you. So it's rummaging. Like, this is the second time. Yeah, this is the second time it's been printed. It's been printed before.
Right.
I think at least the second time, maybe the third time. I think it's the second time. But with these type of effects, what you're doing, it's basically helps you filter more so towards the late game, but just any time after you play it. Basically, because
but it's not a May though, so it's like you discard a card and draw a card.
Well, but it's a May because you don't have to use the ability. You only use the ability when you want to discard a card. So if you have a card that's bad, like a land, it's like turn 8. You don't want a land. You want to keep drawing gas. So you discard that land and hope that your next card is better.
And I think in that situation, right, I agree with you. But I think in the situations where you're going to play this, I don't know. I just I'm not very, I don't know. I'm not excited when I get it because I'm just like, this thing? Okay. And so then the other one that I think is that is just, I don't know. It's just underwhelming, or I really won't willingly choose to play it, and that's Spreading Rot. I think Spreading Rot, it's unfortunate because it's sorcery speed, right? Like I would prefer it to be instant speed instead of sorcery speed, and then I would play it.
It's speed land. Isn't this the land destruction card?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's happening.
Instant speed. Come on.
I think there's only has there only been like one. Has there ever
5.
been a instant speed land
but it costs,
destruction?
No, I probably not.
I don't think there's ever.
But it costs 5.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get instant speed land destruction. That's
at
ridiculous.
5. I understand that, but cost of 5, then it has to be lower. It has to be lower cost.
It's just not a card you play. Like, you just don't pay attention to it. It's one of those cards that you dirt. that dirt stuff we were talking about before. You see this card, you just put it to the side.
Thank you for joining the show and checking it out. I hope you got any good information out of what we had to talk about. This being our first episode, we didn't do any practice with this. We kind of just turned on the camera, flipped the switch, and said, let's just do this. I mean, we talked about it. We wrote down some stuff. But so bear with us as we start to sort of hone in how we're putting these episodes together. We are going to do a ton of awesome things with this sort of series, right? We're gonna do some drafting.
Yeah, we'll outline draft tips, sort of do an instructional guide on drafting from before you even sit down to draft, understanding concepts and preparing for the format, just what to look at so you can establish a baseline of what creatures are great, what removal is great, what archetypes work, what the colors are doing, and then we'll take that on through what to do when you actually sit down at the table making decisions while you're drafting cards, and then take it to the finishing part where you're actually building your deck, how to make decisions on what to put in, what not to put in, and then maybe we'll do a smidget on gameplay, because that's something that's covered across every format, whether it be EDH, constructed. Playing Magic is playing Magic regardless of.
But you want to see gameplay. Just tell us. We want to see gameplay because, first off, that's what people like to see is gameplay. So we're gonna have to do the gameplay.
We're gonna have to do some gameplay. Yeah. He's gonna make me do some gameplay.
Exactly. Top-down stuff with some good camera work, and don't worry, we'll do it nice and fun. So
nice, cool. This has been awesome, though, man. I'm really, really excited. This is this is really cool. This is what you've been doing all this time. He's been like, John, come in here and do this stuff. And I'm like, I'm busy doing stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of work putting this stuff together. But anyways, thanks again for joining us. We're going to try to do this once a month in the very beginning. And as we start to ramp up, we're going to do more episodes. Sometimes we'll do less podcast style and we'll do more instructional. So I feel like this was more podcasting kind of deal. What we'd like to do is kind of do the 101 kind of drafting and tips and tricks and stuff like that. So we'll do short bit shows and episodes of just talking about it. So
we can definitely I can see doing some snort. It's a dinosaur. Snort. Short snippets on drafting guides and tips and things of that nature.
Let us know in the comments below, down there, and give us some feedback. Tell us what you want to know and what you want to hear us cover on the show. Because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do the show, or even if you don't watch it, then why are we gonna do it in the first place? So
this is true.
Let us know what you want to know on
We Need You
the draft and get the eye.
That just came out of nowhere.
With that said, until next time, I bid you farewell.
See ya.